Hello and welcome to Found in Japan. My name is William and today we're going to be talking about Japanese language learning, something that you should definitely do if you want to come to Japan. So if you're planning to come and you don't have any Japanese, or maybe you're looking to take a Japanese language proficiency test or the JLPT, then some of these things can help you learn Japanese. Recently, I made a video about hiragana and katakana and how to read those. If you want to find that out, you can look in the comments or the description below and it should be there. So a friend of mine that lives here now is looking to take the JLPT and he asked me,
How did you learn Japanese, William?
and I said, well, I lived here and I studied. I started studying Japanese in university and I actually got a minor in Japanese, but I thought, yay, I know Japanese, I'll be ready to go. And I was wrong.
So wrong.
When I came to Japan, I really didn't know the language. I couldn't read or write well enough, and it took a long time. I actually probably learned the most Japanese when I started working in a Japanese elementary school because their Japanese level was lower in vocabulary, so I could kind of match my way up, and now I feel very confident being conversational in Japanese. When I first came to Japan, I already had N3 of the old JLPT style. At that time, there were only 4 levels, whereas now there are 5. They kind of spaced out the bottom so that the jump would not be so large. I didn't study a lot, and I probably should have studied a lot more before I took the test, but I took N2 several times, and finally in 2014, I did pass the current N2 test. Yes, I know I should be studying for N1, and eventually I will take it. Recently, I've been kind of interested in taking the Japanese kanji test, also known as the kanji kente. So, how do you learn Japanese? What are some of the things that could help you learn Japanese if you're a new person or a little advanced or intermediate or you're very advanced? Here are some of the things that I use that help me learn Japanese. Some of the products I'm going to show for now, I'm not sponsored, but if you're interested in finding out more about them, you can find them on Amazon in the link in the description below. Unfortunately, I don't have all my books anymore because I've given a lot of them away to friends over the years who are at different levels of their Japanese studies or left them at my workplace so that if people have spare time, they can study some Japanese. If I don't have it, I'll just show a picture up here of what I'm talking about. So one of the books that I really like to use as review, which I think is a great starter, is this one. And it says, Zero kara starto, Nihongo kaiwa. So this literally says, starting from zero Nihongo or Japanese. And what I really like about this book is it is very comprehensive for the start. There comes with a CD inside that has lots of great listening activities. It starts with the hiragana and katakana pages, which is much like what in the video that I made. What's really great is they start off very easy with lots of pictures and grammar stuff, and as it continues on, everything can be done daily. It's not very hard. The answering is pretty good in the back. What's really great, I think, and very forward thinking is in the back, they have the dialogues broken down into Japanese and English, but they also have it in Mandarin. They also have it in French, Korean, and several other languages. This book is a very good book, even if you're not a native English speaker. Oftentimes these tend to be targeted towards English speakers, but this one's good all around, and you can let a friend use it or borrow it to study if they're looking to get started. As you progress, or maybe if you start in a class, there might be the Mina no Nihongo series, and they are good and they're used in schools. I personally did not like that series very much. I attended a tutoring school for a little while and we used that one, and I just didn't click with it. So maybe you like it, maybe you don't. If you do attend a Japanese school, there is the high likelihood that they are going to suggest that one to you. The series that I really liked is called Nihongo Sou Matome. I really like this one. I like the pictures. I like the language. The series is broken up, and each book has a different thing that is important to it. There's books based on grammar, on vocabulary, on kanji, sentence structures, and listening. I like the layout of these books, and I thought they worked really well. They have them from N5 up to N1. They do start to get a little harder towards the N3, N2 series, and N1 is quite hard, but I still like the layout very much. If you're looking for the real serious, like you're gonna study, what I really suggest is this. This is the Shin Kanzen Master Bunpo. This is for N2, which I still keep because this is just good review. One of the things about the JLPT or the Nihongo Noryoku Shiken is that they never test you on previous materials, but they do expect that you know it. So this is like the brown Listerine, the serious, real deal. You're gonna study Japanese. There is no English anywhere in this series. It's all straightforward. This is Japanese time. So you really have to know your stuff. One of my friends recommended this to me and I used it, and I probably can say that I passed into because of this series. They're not flashy, there's no pictures, but it is a very, very good example of what you can expect on the test. If you're really worried about learning kanji, then what I can suggest is that you find a book that you like that explains how to write the kanji. So I got this book from my uncle. He also is very in love with Japan, and when I was in high school maybe, he moved and I got a box of his Japanese study materials. And as you can tell, I have used this thing a lot. And what this is cool for is that it actually shows all the writing and the stroke order. And this is old. This is probably the mid 90s, but it goes all the way up to 2000 kanji in here. And in the back is a dictionary, and I still use this sometimes when I don't have my phone out or my phone is dead, or you want to learn how to write something. I really suggest finding a book like this that you like, and you can keep it. They're relatively small, but I really like this one. I don't know if they print this anymore, but if they do, I'll put it down below. Another great book for learning kanji is this one. It's called Remembering the Kanji by James W. Hasig. And this is a fantastic book. I know this looks really new, but that's because this is my second version. I actually gave my original one to a friend, and I reviewed it on my phone. So there are lots of good apps out there that can be used this. And what this does is this book actually teaches you all the kanji that are in Japanese up to number, I can look in the index, number 2200. So this covers all the joyo or standardized kanji that would be in a newspaper or a book. And what it does is it starts you off easy and it tells you a little story of how to remember the kanji based on its base roots or parts. And I really like this book. Of course, one of the good examples here would be where it talks about how the left part means woman and the right means child, and together they're pushed together, so that means fond of, as you would expect a mother is fond of their child. And through that type of repetition and learning, this doesn't use a lot of Japanese to learn them. Each of these parts actually have a Japanese name, but it can really help you pick up the pace when you're trying to learn or figure out a kanji, much like knowing Latin roots for English words. I really recommend this book. It was really good for me. There's a 2, 3, I think there's a Remembering the Kanji 1, 2, and 3, as well as a Remembering the Kana. So if you haven't learned the hiragana or katakana yet, you can start with that. Another great way to learn kanji is with your phone or your computer. So I have several apps that I've used over the years to learn Japanese, and one of them that I really like is called Kanji Box. And Kanji Box is on the computer, or you can get it for iOS. And what's really cool about this is it allows you to do different forms of practicing and testing, and as you progress through the spaced repetition, it changes the colors, and you can check like, oh, what are my statistics, and how much of N5 have I learned, or how much of N4, the JLPT levels. You can pick, you can practice, and you can give yourselves little quizzes like, oh, I want to study kanji, and then, oh, I want to do a definition. And you'll get yourself a little drill like this. And you'll need to practice how is it written. So we have moto, gan, ken. So what you can do is, if you know it, it turns green. And in your data library, the colors will progress. I really like this one. It was really good for me. I could do this on the train. You can start with kana, you can take a quiz, but it's really good. They have kanji, vocabulary, reading, kana, grammar, how to write the kanji. You can compete with your friends if they're also on the app. It's very good. Another good one is called Wanikani, and you go online, you register for that, and you actually have to type in the stuff. So if you're not used to writing in a romanized kana on a keyboard, it can be a great way to make yourself remember actually how to write the words out rather than just drawing the kanji. Another one that I like is called Anki. And Anki has been my go-to guy here. I'm gonna try to so there are several Anki apps. There's a paid one, which is the one I have, and it is very, very good. It's a digital flashcard database, and you can download other people's like already made databases and you can review them. And what it does is it uses spaced repetition practice. So it'll give you a kanji or a vocabulary and you say if you know it or not. And if you know it, then it will increase the space between the repetitions. And you can choose how many new words of vocabulary you get a day. I chose to do the kanji one, and as the kanji were known, it would space them out, and then I moved on to the core 2000 words and then the core 6000 words. It was really, really helpful. If I pull up the statistics on here and we look, it'll give me a question that looks like this. And all it's doing is asking me what is the correct answer. And it'll ask if I know it or not. And I'll say, I knew it. And at the bottom, I can tell it. Do I want it to come back in 1 day or in 10 hours? And you can set that. It's a little hard to read, but if you look right here, you can see that. I did more than 47,000 reviews. Now that was some years ago and I probably should get back on it, but I just been busy. What's great is you can make your own cards and import them in here, or you can find other people's cards that are out there. And I think this is a great app. And Anki actually means to remember or memorize in Japanese. So I really suggest this app. It's really good. If you're trying to learn how to do better reading or you just want some better Japanese, some of the things that I can recommend is to read manga. And of course, the language that's in the manga is not what you'll actually use every day, but I really enjoyed learning that way. Of course, the classics are kind of fighting manga. One of those would be like Dragon Ball. What's great about this is that Dragon Ball is made by the Shonen Jump comic series, and that means that next to all the kanji or above it, there is furigana. So, as long as you know how to read hiragana, you can read everything. You maybe don't understand, but if you want to take the time, you can actually look it up. I have all of Dragon Ball, but if fighting isn't your thing, you can also get other manga. This is Hikaru no Go, which is based on the story of a young boy who learns how to play a board game called Eagle, which is fantastic. It's one of the oldest games in the world, and I love it. And thank you to Todd, who introduced me to this series. Also a wonderful anime. Hikaru no Go also all has furigana. My son left one out. Right now, the Demon Slayer or Kimetsu no Yaiba series is very popular. Currently, we're making our way through this. I have ones about Miyamoto Musashi. I have one called Shirokuma Cafe, which is just really short, cute stories about a polar bear who runs a cafe and all his friends that drop in from the zoo. It's really cute, really nice. So it doesn't have to be a fighting manga or a love story manga. There's tons of other ones that you could really get into. Also, if you're an avid book reader and you like to learn stuff, things like this, where this is the Harry Potter book, but in Japanese. And while it does look very thick compared to the actual book, which I have somewhere in my house, there's a lot of dead space in Japanese novels. So you can run your way through this. What can be hard is that there's a lot of katakana in here for romanized words that aren't really easy to understand. But once you get into the flow, this is really good. I actually got this book for $1. So lots of these type of books, the first 4 or 5 volumes of a manga will usually be about $1 if you go to a used bookshop, and you can pick those up once you get here and just start going through them. I like to collect them, so I tend to get them new now, but even then they're only $3. So it's less than a coffee at Starbucks to pick this up, and then you have it forever. The other thing that you can do is possibly pick up some novels or stories that you like to further your reading. So I have these two, which are from two Japanese soccer players, national team soccer players. This is Nagatomo, and this is from Nakatani Senshu. He's the former captain of the Japanese national, both on the national team during the World Cup series. This book is more about what it means to be a team player and to be a captain, and what it's like to lose. And when a lot of talk about the thoughts behind soccer and being an effective leader and having a strong heart, which is what this book is about. Nagatomo's book is more about his life and his history and sacrifices that he's made and struggles that he's gone through. And I really like this book. I like Nagatomo a lot. Unfortunately, neither of these books have furigana, so you really have to want to read these, or your Japanese level has to be pretty high, unless you're willing to take the time to translate everything. Now, once you get rolling in this type of book, it's really easy to move on because you'll start to learn the patterns of the words that they use. These type of written materials, of course, are not the only way to learn Japanese. Listening to music, going to karaoke and singing with your friends, or just watching Japanese TV or movies are great. I really like TV and movies. Japanese TV tends to put a big subtitle on the bottom of everything, so it can be a great way to pick stuff up really quick. Also, on YouTube or other video applications, you can usually slow video down or pause it. So if you want to do it that way, that can maybe help with your reading and your listening. Since the pandemic started, there's been lots of places and sites where you can find a language partner, so that would also be great. I think I saw online the other day there were even people who were organizing Discords or event locations where people could just communicate. Japanese people who want to speak English and English speakers who want to learn Japanese, and they're doing what's like a kotai gotai, or exchanging one for the other. And they all seem to be really happy with that. So if you're interested in that, you can probably check online and find those pretty easily today. There's also online language schools if perhaps you don't have access to a language teacher. I don't really know much about those, but I'm sure they're out there. I hope some of the materials and the things I talked about here could potentially help you with your Japanese language journey, and I hope that in the future you can achieve your goals of learning Japanese, whether it be for work, the JLPT, or just for fun. If you're interested in some more videos about language, culture, or food that are found in Japan, YouTube will be putting it right here, and I hope to see you in another video for things that can be found in Japan. Mata ne!